Hey everybody, Steve-O here for Movies and TV's On the Ball, and I was wondering how would you rank the Toy Story films? We just found out that next year we're going to see, or maybe it's a couple years from now, we've got a fifth Toy Story coming out. But let's talk about the Toy Story quadrilogy, which I think would be an interesting way of looking at it. I feel like the first Toy Story probably works the best just because of the fact that it deals with, kind of being kind of replay, Woody feeling replaced and jealous of Buzz, and there's more conflict there, and then you kind of add Sid, the kid who destroys toys, in which it makes, and I think it's more of a buddy, they hate each other but like each other, and they really build a friendship. Toy Story 2, I feel like, was probably pretty strong because I felt like Toy Story 2 had a very comedic timing for the film, and then and then you kind of had the Proxbuster as sort of the villain, but he does make a point: is how long do you think Andy is going to be liking toys after all this time? And then Toy Story 3, which I feel like could have been, is probably the best one, and deals with, you can kind of see how Andy trying to go to college, and kind of losing Buzz and losing Andy, and you have them being in a daycare and finding out that they find people to play with. Then you have Lotso, who's probably one of the most darkest villains I've seen in a Pixar movie, but you could, he isn't as fun as, let's say, Syndrome, or um, you probably, the most, darkest, and he's probably not as fun as Syndrome, or like Randall, or I haven't seen, to me, but I felt like it had more heart at the end, but had a good message at the very end, where you could kind of see Andy basically, giving, sort of, when he's giving it away, we're moving on. Because Andy was probably 10 in 95, and in 2010 he would have been, going to college. Maybe he was about 18. I think he's 18 in the movie, so it was this sort of him giving him away. But Toy Story 3 worked pretty well, and Toy Story 4 felt more like a Bo Peep, Woody kind of connection love story, which I feel like worked really well as well. And it had, great toys, and just the fact that, can we just admire the fact that both, um, Tim Allen and Tom Hanks are just have so great chemistry after almost 30 years of the Toy Story franchise. And I feel like that's what makes it work. And and I feel like, I would probably have to rank the first Toy Story 1, probably Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 3 as my probably first two. Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 4 probably, you know, even the odd. But what's your ranking of the Toy Story movies? Let me know in the comments below. And what's your thoughts on Buzz and Woody and the rest of the gang? Please leave your comments. What was, did you grow up watching Toy Story? Did Toy Story come out right when you were born and you were 95 baby and kind of grew up with the Toy Story films? Or did you grow up watching the Toy Story films later on in life? Let me know, and as always, like and subscribe. Peace.